I know I have my biases. You'll have to excuse me, Andrew. But the other thing that does start to feel like a political calculation is when I was reading your decision to endorse Biden, because you had this whole endorsement section where you were reflecting on, was it right not to endorse Booker? And I wondered if at any point you reflected similarly about endorsing Bernie over Biden, especially with all of what we've seen from the Biden campaign and the lack of fight over the last 10 months or so.
Oh, man, Briahna, wow, you're really pressing on this. So, on this one of the book, too. All right, so I think I said it in the book. I wanted the process to play out. I wanted the process to play out. I was like, look, and I also said multiple times, if either candidate or any candidate comes out for universal basic income, I will be there to endorse them the next day. And so, I was essentially begging Bernie to come out for universal basic income. And then the process was playing out. And it was only after Michigan voted, which was the state that I thought Bernie needed to win. He had won it last time. And that when Michigan went for Joe, I was like, oh no, this thing is a wrap.
Right, but we needed you before that. We needed you before that, Andrew.
So on that, I would say, look, I did a number of interviews up to that point where I was just very, very open about universal basic income as if someone endorses that, Bernie. The other thing I will say to you, Briahna, that I've never shared too, is that Joe called me twice and Bernie never called me.
I'm so tired of you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at Bernie because I the number of times the story has been told. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But despite Joe calling me twice, I still did not endorse because I was like, Joe, I want this process to play out. But during that time, I was like, hey, if Bernie does this thing, I'm down. And then time passed and then Michigan happened. And then I was like, okay, Joe's going to win this thing. And at that point, I said, look, if my mission is to help get Trump out, and in my judgment, Joe is going to be the nominee, then I'm just going to get on board because I'll be able to add some value. But that's the way it played out. I don't, and then I'm not sure if I was clear about that in the book. I guess I wasn't.
No, you mentioned that, you wanted to get Trump out of office and it seemed like Biden was inevitable. But my question was timing wise, there was a point at which Biden didn't seem so inevitable when we really would have loved to have you. So I want to first say I truly am so frustrated with the number of people who basically said that they would have been supportive of Bernie if he had actually reached out. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I have thoughts and feelings. When I say the thing about things falling through the cracks and the campaign needing a little bit of the McKinsey magic on it, LOL, people are going to come for me for that, and you should. I'm sorry, I don't mean McKinsey magic, but you know what I mean? A little bit of organization.
Just like efficiency stuff. But right. You know what's interesting, Briahna, is that I actually am going to go on the other side of this and defend Bernie. Because here's the thing, is that candidates are who we are. Bernie is Bernie. Bernie's a symbol, a true warrior. He's not a caller. He's not like the dude who's gonna
someone on your campaign should be. So someone on that campaign, my whole thing throughout, not that I had any influence in this campaign whatsoever, was that it is completely fine if the principal wants to be the principal. That's part of Bernie's charm and why we love him. But if that's the case, go ahead and empower some surrogates to do the things that Bernie is less comfortable with, and that will appeal to groups that Bernie being Bernie won't necessarily appeal to. And my longtime frustration was that other people weren't empowered.
That's a very good idea. Who could have been knighted within the Bernie-verse to do the things that Bernie wouldn't naturally do?
Plenty of people. I mean, what would it only have been a phone call from Bernie that would have mattered to you, or would a phone call from Jane or Nina Turner?
I had one vision, which was universal basic income, and I was just like, hey, let's do it. Bernie, to me, I was surprised he didn't embrace it much earlier. I was genuinely surprised by his resistance. I thought that he would.
Was there actual resistance, or was there just kind of a...
Well, anytime he got asked about it, people would send me the clips all the time. It was like, federal jobs guarantee, da-da-da-da-da. And then I ended up, one of the debates being like, I don't think that's the right approach, Bernie. And then he dropped it immediately because he thought tangling with Yang was a loser, which I'm sure was right. Just like his team was like, if anyone who's not named Joe, tangles with you, just freaking drop it. But, you're saying if someone else had called from the Bernie verse, I would have picked up the phone 100%, and had a talk with him. If I thought that there was something I could do that was going to move Bernie towards universe, like during this period of time you're talking about, which is essentially like February, March, 2020, if I'd gotten a call being like, hey, come to Nevada or wherever Bernie is, to confer with this, I would have gone 100%. And it wouldn't need to be like, it wouldn't have been hard. Yeah. Let's put it that way. I was very much torn. And my stance at that time was neutrality. I said, look, I'm just going to let this process play out. Unless I would endorse UBI, and then I'm there. But then other than that, I wouldn't. But, I did only get calls from one side. And I did, frankly, not even go along with those calls, which was not the easiest thing in the world. But I was still I was still trying to wait and add value, really.
Well, I did my critique of Bernie, but the flip side of critique for you, though, Andrew, is that if you are really making decisions based on principle, regardless of what Bernie says or whether he reaches out, it seems evident that ideologically he was most aligned with you and your interest in your campaign. Certainly, there's no universe where Joe Biden is ever going to even utter the words universal basic income or, couldn't spell universal basic income with a dictionary in front of him, So there's a world where regardless of even if Bernie, took off his white glove and slapped you across the face with it, you should have been like, this is what's best for America. I'm going to come out and endorse Bernie. Even if he's a losing horse, even if he doesn't reach out to me, this is what's right. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's a legitimate argument and critique. At the time, I was just trying to move everyone I could towards universal basic income. I would have been there in a heartbeat if Bernie was like, hey, Yang, let's do this UBI thing. I've been like, I'm fucking there, and I'll stump. I'll fight it out. Short of that, I was just trying to figure out how to get Trump out and hope that, because I also didn't think that UBI was going to happen under Trump. Yeah. So, but I'd accept that critique for sure. And obviously I have many friends who went, and endorse Bernie.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Just a reminder that this is a podcast. You can catch an extra premium episode every Monday for $5 a month at patreon.com/badfaithpodcast. That's patreon.com/badfaithpodcast for $5 a month, an extra episode every week. Additionally, please do consider liking this video, subscribing to this channel. It helps us out. It helps independent media beat the algorithm. We appreciate you. And as always, keep the faith.